So question number 1. The chapter starts off where it left off, with Zoro defeating King. We have another King flashback, and it begins with Kaido asking King, "Are you still under that belief that you think I'm Joy Boy? Is the world I'm creating really the one you wished for?" King responds, "Legends are legends. That is all." Throughout the One Piece community, it was largely considered Rocks gave Kaido this idea that he might be Joy Boy. Now, since that idea is debunked, how does this affect Kaido's character? Does it make him less interesting? And we'll start with Lawrence.
So you think that's interesting because now that he doesn't think he's Joy Boy, or the fact that he thought he was Joy Boy?
Well, like I said, throughout the One Piece community, it was believed that Rocks gave him this idea.
Yeah.
This was the theory. But with this new chapter, it's actually King. King said he might be Joy Boy. So now that we know this, does it make him less of an interesting character, Kaido? And does it affect him in any other way now?
Yeah. It's interesting because I just think back to his comments during the other flashback where, and it could be not him thinking that he was not thinking he was Joy Boy at all, but when he's thought that he's the only one that can, talking about changing the world. So was it the belief that he thought that he was Joy Boy at first, or he thought, you know what, I may not be Joy Boy, or I can paint it in a world, or paint the world in a way that I want it to be, you know? So to me, it goes into that question. Like Kaido then, when he first met King, thinking that he could change the world, in fact, the only one that could change the world, what was his mindset? Was he still under the impression, like maybe from Rocks, that that he could possibly be Joy Boy? Or is it just like he thought, I could stop Joy Boy, or even that he could change into different without being Joy Boy at all? Like that doesn't matter, you know? So that's interesting. And we still need Kaido's backstory, and I want it. So it is interesting because I want to know his mindset, what led to him saying that in the first place, and to him saying now, like, am I shaping the world to what you really want? To King, that's what he said, right? So I want more from Kaido's character, like getting into his mindset of why he's doing what he's doing. Because also, there's a few things about Kaido's character that kind of like, we see him with so much energy earlier, and then later on he's kind of like mopey or a little suicidal. Maybe he was always a drunk because he's drinking then, but what happened to where he's seen like kind of like character changes, where like he's begging when he was talking shouting out loud, wishing that Whitebeard was still alive, right? So I want to know what's going on in his mindset throughout these years to what shaped him to who he is now.
So he's still as interesting,
yes,
even with King being the deciding factor of saying you could be Joy Boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so, in my opinion.
Okay. What about you, Seb?
So I agree with Lawrence for the most part. I never needed Rocks to be the one that made him think he was Joy Boy in general. So it didn't change that for me, you know? But this just means whatever he learned or got from Rocks is different from that. So it added more intrigue to me. You know what I mean? Like the whole time I thought it was just going to be potentially a Joy Boy thing that's like you said, the community thought with Rocks. If it's something else entirely, like what is that? What is it that he learned from Rocks that he's trying, like Lawrence said, the only one who can change the world. If it's not a Joy Boy thing. You know what I mean? So it's like, what is it? What is this other legend that he's referring to in his mind, or that he's thinking about? Does it have to do with the fact that he's an Oni, which is probably what it is, because he's made reference to the fact that like humans are beneath him, or humans have a limit, and like to even Yamato, like you are my daughter, like you're supposed to stand above these people. So it's like that information along with the like him telling Luffy he couldn't be Joy Boy. When I read it in the moment, I was like, oh, Kaido thought he could be Joy Boy. But like you're saying, if King is the one who brought that out and he's over here thinking, nah, it's not me, like what is the other thing? Like I really want to know. Like Lawrence said, I need to see Kaido's backstory. He's vague enough and he's mysterious enough, and his personality is intriguing to me enough that like nothing that he could do in a flashback would make him less interesting, if that makes sense. I think it's really just banking on the fact that we don't know crap about the guy.
Yeah.
So like you said it before in other podcasts, that we've had, where it's like the fact that we don't have any information on him, the fan base grasps at straws for anything he says to make him seem more interesting. I think we're still in that phase because we're just getting small pieces of stuff from him, and it's like we don't know. We just don't know anything. So we need the backstory. I don't think it makes him less interesting. I would prefer that he didn't think he was Joy Boy, and that there's a different legend that's yet to be untold or yet to be like brought out through Kaido, maybe through the Oni race, maybe through something else, maybe through rocks. Mm-hmm. I did really like that King was the one in this case to like bring it out to him, because it means like the Lunarian race has this knowledge. Like I assume King has this knowledge of Joy Boy and the legend from his Lunarian race, you know. So it's like that piece, like that lore with them, is still more to be like discovered beyond just what they were and where they lived before and them being eradicated. There's another level of they have real knowledge of the history. So like I really like that scene with Kaido and King, but it didn't make Kaido less interesting to me personally. But
okay, yeah, I mean, I get what you both say. Like I understand what you're saying, but to me it just he's not as interesting, bro. Like it made him interesting because it brought up the fact of like what rocks could be, and like it gave us some insight into possibly seeing what rocks was like, and like what was his goals, or like just overall what my bad, what he was about. Because at this point we still don't know, and it's like this guy is possibly the most interesting character in the whole verse, and we just know tidbits about him compared to what he actually probably was, and to now see that that's no longer a factor, it just made Kaido just seem like this very on the surface character, where he's been this, this has been my issue with Kaido, is that he's so on the surface. Like everything we've seen is very like, bland. Yo, I am dying. I don't even know why. Because I was singing my heart out in the car.
I heard you.
I know. You came in here mad wild. Like,
yeah, I pulled up pretty crazy. So hopefully I can speak for the rest of the podcast. This is going to be upsetting. But I think that it was a hit on his character for me because of I like the fact that if Rocks gave him the idea and then King expanded upon that idea by solidifying it, by having some ancient knowledge that only the Lunarians carried, and gave it to Kaido to make him believe even further that he truly was the only one that was able to change the world, I would have thought that was dope. But now that since that factor's gone, it kind of leaves King in this position to me where he's so badly written, but he is so important to Kaido's journey, where like he should offer more to the story than what he's been offering currently. Like he's been giving us these tidbits where it makes Kaido a little interesting, but it makes King seem so much more like prevalent to the story. And now he's not. Like, he's just done. Like, he's gone. Like, we're not seeing him anymore. So, I don't know, man. I thought it would have been better if there was a Rocks tie-in, for sure.
I get what you're saying.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I do. I want to add, though, to this, though. Like, thinking about it, because the fact that, like Sebastian said, it's better that Kaido realizes that he's not Joy Boy, especially, I guess you could say, this late in the game when he's older. But it also leads to for example, I'm going to tie it to all the others. What does it actually take to be Joy Boy? Like Rocks, like we were talking about Rocks, but like Roger, he said he was too early. So in a sense, he wasn't Joy Boy. Whitebeard wasn't Joy Boy. Kaido wasn't Joy Boy. Big Mom's not Joy Boy. So what exactly does it take to be Joy Boy? Because King, in this instance, could have thinking you being the strongest is Joy Boy. Because King kind of linked that. Legends are legends. I need you to keep being the strongest. So King could have been thinking that whoever's at the top, they're possibly Joy Boy. Kaido's saying, no, that's not true.
That was such a big pause moment, by the way, because he was like, yo, you have my body. And I was just like... I was like, yo.
Translation, did you read?
Hey,
yes,
yo.
I did not read that in my
He was like, "Yo,
translation.
you own me." He said something along those
I
lines.
ain't read that.
The translation I'm
said
seeing,
that?
it says,
Listen, bro.
that I don't, yeah.
Listen.
I don't know where you was
Listen.
He
reading.
said,
I'm not-
I owe you my life for what I read.
Nah.
Maybe I'm
this
tripping.
This is the official translation. He was like, "Yo, you own me," and I was like, "Pause,
I mean,
bro."
he's clearly in the BDSM, bro.
Wait, you see official translation? I'm reading on the Shonen Jump. It says, "No, I seek nothing from you anymore. My life belongs to you."
Is that what
That's
you're...
mad sweet.
Listen, man.
But
Listen to me when I say this,
That
man.
caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting that.
Yo, listen, man. That was a big pause moment from King. Because he's mad beautiful, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So it's like, come on, bro.
King needs
What's
to-
going
King
on?
said it, though.
I know, which is weird. I was like, yo, he a shorty.
That's how you was feeling?
That's how he was
That's how
feeling.
King had you feeling?
King needs to pause though. And I was like,
Listen. I get you. I mean, I feel like we all have this type of perspective on these two characters. And like,